Another issue that very often it's giving us a problem, a simultaneous equation, part of our algebra. So here we have two simultaneous equations and we need to solve it. Now, the particular case with this equation is that we have a letter to the power of 2. So when you have an equation in simultaneous equation and you have a letter to the power of 2, we're going to always use the equation first that doesn't have letters to the power of 2. Now, let's pause for a minute to understand what we are trying to achieve with simultaneous equation. With simultaneous equation, we have two letters. Doesn't matter what kind of letters. And the idea is that in the first step, what I need to do, I need to eliminate one of the letters. So I need to eliminate a letter. Which letter doesn't matter, the one that is easier for me to do. If I eliminate one of the letters, therefore I am left with one letter and I will have one equation here. Now here I have two letters, two equation, and therefore I eliminate one of the letter. So I have only one letter and then two equations become one equation. There are two methods generally about how we achieve that. One of them is when I take one equation and second equation, and when I add those two, one of the letters will get eliminated in that process. For example, I have 2x here, I have minus 2x, and that way x will get eliminated. Second method for simultaneous equation is when I take one equation and I change how it looks. So for example, I will say x equal, and then I put the rest of the stuff on the other side, and I substitute for the value of x in my second equation, my expression. So that way, in my second equation, I have no letter x. That's how I eliminate it. So those are the two methods. So let's have a look how we're going to deal with these two simultaneous equations. So like I said, we take the one that doesn't have a letter to the power of 2. Now, we have option. We can either change this equation to have x equal and then move all the numbers to the other side, then take that expression and replace x with that value, or we can go a different way. We can say y equal and move the numbers to the other side, and then take that and replace y here, and therefore don't have letter y anymore. Now, taking into consideration that here we have x to the power of 2, replacing it, that means taking a bracket to the power of 2, I would say it will be easier to replace y. Now, however, we can replace x. It will just make calculation a little bit longer. But let's go with easier option of replacing y. So let's write our equation for x plus 2y equal minus 7. So like what we said, what we are trying to achieve to have y on its own. Therefore, that 4x will move to the other side of the equation. And when it moves to the other side of the equation, what happened? It changes the sign to the opposite. So therefore, I have minus 7 that was here, and then minus 4x. We move that. Now, the last thing to do here is to get rid of these 2 beside y. So 2y means what? 2 multiplied by y. That means if I divide by 2, 2 divided by 2, that equal 1. 1 multiplied by y will be y. However, if I divide one side, I have to divide the other side as well. So that means that we are left here with y indeed. On the other side, I have minus 7 divided by 2, and then minus 4 divided by 2. Now, if we put that in the calculator, it's not going to simplify it, but minus 4 divided by 2, if we put that in the calculator, we'll get that that's minus 2, and let's not forget x. So like what we said, now we have expression for y, so we can replace this y. So let me show you. I'm going to write the second equation again. So we are taking this y, removing it, and in this place, putting our expression for y, because the equal sign is saying y is the same as. Yeah, okay. And that way, that's what I said. We have one letter, one equation. So now we can solve that. So then again, we are saying, well, how do we solve that? When we have a letter to the power of 2 in our equation like here, what do we think about? Minus b formula. So in order to use minus b formula, let's get that formula from our maths table. That's page 20, if I remember correctly. There it is. So let's get that. In order for us to use minus b formula, I need to know what will go in place of letter B, letter A, and letter C. Now here beside that, we are shown that A is a number that stands beside x to the power of 2, B is a number that stands beside x, and C is a number without x. Now one thing as well to note, I need to have nothing on one side of the equation. Now when I'm looking at my equation, I'm saying, okay, well, first of all, I need to multiply the bracket, then I need to move my 168 to the other side of the equation, and then I will be able to identify the A, the B, the C. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do the multiplication of the bracket first. So x to the power of 2, just copy, paste, plus, and then I have 4x multiply by minus 7y. Now what we put in the calculator is 4 multiply by minus 7 over 2. And I said, why? My apologies. My brain goes further. So when we put that in the calculator and we press equal, we get what? Minus 14, isn't it? So I have minus 14. And let's not forget there is x beside it. And then minus 4 multiplied by minus 2x. So what is that? That's 4 multiplied by x, multiplied by minus 2, multiplied by x. So what we can multiply here is 4 by minus 2, which will give me minus 8. And then x multiplied by x, we can write it in shorter version as x to the power of 2. And then we are saying at the same time, let's move that minus 168 to the other side of the equation. So therefore, it will change the sign to plus 168. Now I have nothing left on this side, therefore I am saying 0. Okay, so now I'm saying let's arrange those values. Here I have 1, here I have minus 8, and if we put in our calculator 1 minus 8, we're going to get minus 7, x to the power of 2, then minus 14x, and plus 168 equals 0. So now we can clearly identify A, B, and C. So value that stand beside x to the power of 2, not x to the number only that stand beside it. B, again, number that stand beside x, and C without x. Okay, so let's put that in our minus b formula. So therefore, x equal fraction line minus, and then our b value is minus 14, not 14, minus 14. Then we have plus and minus because it goes with two versions, square root. And again, b value, b is minus 14, and that b is taken to the power of 2, minus, then we have 4, multiply by value of a, and a is minus 7, so multiply by minus 7, multiply, and then c is 168, and then at the bottom of the fraction I have 2, multiply by value of a, which is minus 7. And we take that and we put all of that in our calculator with plus, and then we go again, we put all of that, but this time with minus. So the two values of x that we going to get will be minus 6 and 4. So we did find the value of x. Now our job is not finished because this simultaneous equation have two letters. So that means we have to go and find value of y. Now that I have value of x, I can remove x and place the number there, and therefore I am only left with y. I can solve it into any equation I want. Now, however, this equation is already ready for me. All I need to do is to replace that x, so that's the one I'm going to use. So let's just move that for a minute here. So we were saying, so y therefore equal minus 7 over 2, and one value of x we had was minus 6, minus 2, and instead of x now we are saying multiply by minus 6. We put that in our calculator, press equal, and we get 17 over 2. So two sets of numbers when x is minus 6, y is 17 over 2. And then the second value we got for x was 4. So again, y equal minus 7 over 2 minus 2 multiply, and instead of x we put 4. And again, all of that in our calculator. We press equal and we get minus 23 over 2. So second set of numbers when x is 4, y is minus 23 over 2.